Ooh. Wow. Welcome in to Vikings Vent Line. I'm Phil Mackey. That's Judd Zolgad at a silent U.S. Bank Stadium, although I have a feeling it would be silent even if it was full of people. Declan Goff is producing, and we will be welcoming Vikings fans into this show throughout the next hour or two. Let's get a few thank yous out of the way. The Vikings just lost a devastating game to the Dallas Cowboys. But this episode of Vikings Vent Line on the Purple Daily Podcast YouTube channel, also Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com, where you can read Judd's analysis, is powered by our friends at Corona Hard Seltzer. And I got a feeling, Declan Goff, this is a multiple seltzer night for you.
I thought it was going to be a multiple celebratory blackberry lime seltzer night for me, Phil. As you know, I like to rock the purple blackberry lime in the event of victories, but I'm going with mango sadness here. And that's not to downplay the Corona mango. I'm just telling you that I have a one for a win and I have one for a loss. It'll be multiple mango Corona Hard Seltzers, but you can't go wrong with cherry either or blackberry lime. There's plenty of great options.
So, Corona Hard Seltzer is helping us wipe away the tears here. This is how it works on Vikings Vent Line. This is the most interactive show in Minnesota sports, live on YouTube every single week, and also in podcast form, like I said, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com. If you want to join the video with us, you can just email vikingsventline@gmail.com. We can't guarantee you're going to get in because I think we have a pretty loaded green room here coming up. And the only rules we have are keep it 60 seconds or less because we got to keep the show moving as best as we can. We violate that all the time. And don't get us fired. Judd, your quick thoughts on what looked at for a while, it looked like Kirk Cousins' best game as a Viking. He completed 2 fourth-quarter comebacks, couldn't get the third one at the end there. Vikings defense melts down against Andy Dalton and company, and it goes from wow, they just won their 4th straight game to and now hold on, they're making announcements. Let's mute Judd here for a second. They're making announcements.
Yep.
I'll give you my quick thoughts.
Yeah.
This went from being one of the most complete offensive performances. Like the headlines would have been Kirk Cousins' second fourth-quarter comeback victory as a Vikings quarterback. Adam Thielen extends his touchdown lead. Vikings offense clicking on all cylinders, and Vikings grind their way back to 500 with 2 home games in which they will be favored up on the horizon. And oh, by the way, I think the Packers just lost too.
Oh, okay.
They just blew a lead to the Colts. I guess I haven't seen that final. But like those would have been all the feel-good headlines. And instead, the defense gets absolutely gashed by Andy bleeping Dalton and company. And a Vikings offense that was amazing for 3 hours just couldn't get it done. Justin Jefferson drops that pass. There was plenty of time. I'd like to see, Cousins threw a couple passes to covered receivers. But that's just one of the most depressing ways you can lose a football game this season, Judd.
That is a terrible loss. Yeah. I mean, it was a fun game to watch and actually compared to like Detroit, which was just a blowout. The game had weird ebbs and flows, and there's lots of talkers off this game, including a continued massive problem with special teams, which just continues to be a problem. And this is losing you games now. But yeah, the Jefferson drop actually stuns me. Like I am really, really surprised. I think this is the first mistake that I've seen him make. And that was a fine pass. I mean, there is no excuse for not catching the pass. But let me also delve into the subject of predictability, because the Jefferson drop brought up then a 3rd and 6 at the Vikings 29. Okay, Phil Mackey?
Yeah.
And I looked around the press box and I said, well, this next pass is going to 19, and I know it, and Dallas knows it, and everybody knows it. And that's the predictability here that I actually don't like. Like, that has to be a surprise, I think, of some sort, because, okay, Jefferson dropped the ball. Maybe go back to him. I don't know. But this is not on Kirk, okay? But for the second time this year, you were in a position where you had to, late in the game, but with plenty of time left in said game, drive down the field for a field goal, okay? So you don't have to drive down the entire field. You need to put yourself in a position for a field goal.
Yeah.
And for the second time, the Titans game being the first one, it felt like it would have taken an act of God to do so for an offense that has weapons and for an offense that should be good. It's very disturbing to me that they went into that final drive, went 4 and out like they did, and it felt impossible. It shouldn't be impossible. This is Dallas's defense, guys. It's lousy. So I guess the end of the game bothers me just in the fact that it should not have been a huge ask to bring Dan Bailey and realistically at some point on the field and tie the score up to force OT. And instead, it ended up being a huge deal. And I'm not blaming Kirk. I'm just saying it bothers me that your offense, which should operate much more efficiently than that when it matters most, did not today.
Yeah.
Again.
We'll do our official pie chart of blame on the Mackey and Judd show, which is our other show tomorrow when we have time to sort all this out. And I see some people, like, we can see all your comments on YouTube and Facebook, and we bring them into the show here too, which is part of the reason why this is the most interactive show in Minnesota sports. If you want to join, VikingsVentline@gmail.com, and we can get you in. A lot of people saying it's not on Kirk. Listen, I mean, this was for almost all 4 quarters. This was Kirk's best work as a Vikings quarterback. And he was, again, playing off the threat of Dalvin Cook, leveraging play action, Adam Thielen, red zone. I mean, all the things. Justin Jefferson in the second half. I almost need like someone to look at the all 22 to tell me why the Vikings offense looked like that on the final drive. And it looked nothing like it did in the first, 3 quarters and in 14 minutes. Justin Jefferson, you can't drop that pass.
Yep.
I mean, he deserves some blame in that spot.
You can't, but then third down, after he drops that pass, third down can't be hopeless. And it felt like it. And again, I'll go back to it was predictable. Like you knew Thielen was going to get that ball. And for it to be that predictable with as many offensive weapons as you have, I think is a problem. I mean, you needed a first down there. You didn't need huge chunks of yards. And it felt like everyone said it's going to 19. And indeed it did. And the Cowboys knew that. And keep in mind again, too, the Cowboys defense is lousy. So like, we're not talking about the Bears last Monday night. We're not talking about a top 5 defense. We're talking about a defense that certainly can be exploited. And it felt like you couldn't do it. But I mean, that's the common thread in these last 2 drives with time left against the Titans and Dallas, Phil. The common thread is that it ends up looking and feeling hopeless. And with the weapons and personnel that you have, it shouldn't be that way. Like you should be able to get into field goal position to tie the score tonight, force OT, and then guess what? Take your chances from there.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to shut up here in just a second, and we're going to throw it to a bunch of Vikings fans and get your guys' thoughts. We're going to bring you into the video with us here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. But I just want to say a little preview of our pie chart of blame tomorrow. Chris Jones, why are you making business decisions on defense without job security? What in the hell was that effort on the 42-yard touchdown run, dude? Honestly, like he should be cut tonight. Don't even wait for tomorrow.
Here's what's weird about that. It is Chris Jones and Chris Boyd are rotating, and I don't know how at that corner. And Chris Boyd,
not anymore.
Well, no, but Chris Boyd, I think, and look, he's got faults too. I get that completely. But Chris Boyd makes that play. But just quickly, Phil, this is why everybody in the last 2 or 3 years who said good riddance to Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes sucks. Trey Waynes is not good. You know who makes that tackle every single time and was great in run support? Trey Waynes. So like before we dump on guys, oh, he's not a Pro Bowl player. Trey Waynes was fantastic against the run. And I guarantee you that Pollard on that play, gents, gets about 6 or 7 yards and it's a non-play.
Yeah. Yep. But like what was he thinking? It reminded me a little bit of Cam Newton in the Super Bowl in this crucial spot where the game's on the line and the ball's on the ground. And his first instinct is, I need to go get it. But then something stops him and says, actually, I don't want to get in the fray with 3 punters. Like, dude, like make the tackle.
It was as if he is paid to cover guys. And in run stopping, he's like, I'm not paid for that.
No. Yeah. Well,
somebody else
you ain't going to be paid for anything after
but anyway,
today.
Chris Boyd should play. Like Chris Boyd would give you a chance, I think.
Agreed. So Judd is at US Bank Stadium. Declan's drinking Corona hard seltzers. Phil Mackey here. And we've got a bunch of Vikings fans ready to rock and roll. So Dex, let's start racking them up here. This is the Falcons loss might still be the worst loss of the season, but considering the circumstances and considering how great the Vikings offense played all day, this is the most devastating loss of the season. And we'll see what fans think here. So go ahead, Dex.
Yeah, we'll get Matthew in, and just for a little listener update too. We have a full room as of right now. So if you're trying to get in and it's blocking you, just keep trying to get in, clicking that link, and we'll get you in to start. But we will start with Matthew here to kick us off on Vikings Vent Line. Matthew, what's up, dude?
What's up, guys? I don't even know what to say anymore. I am just appalled. I live in Dallas, even make it worse. I will say, though, Cousins did play a good game. I'm the biggest Kirk Cousins hater of all time. I believe that he should have been cut this time when he stepped on the field literally this year. I blame this game on Zimmer, though. Zimmer's a problem. He doesn't prepare his defense, I don't think. I think, everyone says that Zimmer, gets the guys ready. I just don't think so. I mean, guys, we lost to a Dallas Cowboys team who is 2-7, now 3-7. Like, it is bad. This is bad. And you know what? I think Judd said it. He's like, you know what? Hey, we beat Green Bay. We beat Detroit. We beat Chicago. Let's go. Run with it. And now it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah, okay, so Matthew, your timing is very good here. Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter retweets our friend Tom Pelissero from August 18th. It's an interview with Mike Zimmer in Vikings training camp. And Mike Zimmer says, quote, "I've never had a bad defense ever, so I don't anticipate that changing." You just made freezing cold takes.
Here's the thing. I blame Zimmer completely right now because he did not keep one veteran corner. And don't even tell me how Holton Hill's a veteran corner when he misses 8 games for smoking weed. Yeah, that's not a veteran corner. You should have kept Mackenzie Alexander or a Trey. God, who was it? Who you guys just mentioned?
Trey Waynes.
Trey Waynes, yes. He would have made that tackle. Chris Jones, no idea who the hell Chris Jones is. Get him off the team. I am so done with this team. Watching the Packers right now, and they're down by 3, and they just came back and scored. And we can't even get a first down. And, Dustin's a stud, and missing that ball, it's a big play. But then again, I'm not going to put it on him. Like I said, I think that Zimmer is a problem, and I think that it starts with him. And by God, Cousins needs to be gone.
Matthew, thanks for leading us off, man. We appreciate it. You brought the passion. You brought some good takes. Let's keep rolling here, Dax. It's amazing. We see just for people watching, like Declan said, our room is full right now. And so just as people jump off, you can try again, but we'll be here for a while. So keep trying.
Let's go for a little audible here with Steven and Ava. I think a young Vikings fan who got to experience a great heartbreaking loss here.
Oh no, start them young with the Vikings heartbreak.
We're back. So I don't even really need to talk about the game today. It was just the most predictable Vikings game you could ever have imagined. But I just want to talk about why this team is so frustrating. You come into the end of the year, we start off 1-5. Everyone's saying, all right, let's tank for Trevor, and we're all in for it. And then they mess that up. They win a couple of games back to back. And then we're like, okay, maybe this is a top 10 team. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can make the playoffs. And we turn around and lose to the 2-7 Cowboys. So it's like we suck at being bad, and now apparently we suck at being good too, and you just can't win with this team.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of the worst case scenario now because you crawled your way out of and I see so many tank comments coming in here too. Dylan on our screen right now, embrace the tank.
Can't do it anymore.
They failed to embrace the tank, and they fought, and they got everyone to buy back in. And then at the start of a 3-game home stretch against teams that are bad, it is the most. Yeah, exactly.
She's right. She's 100% right.
She's 100% spot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the spotlight. You're exactly right. That's how it feels. The rest of your life, you have years and years left of this, and I apologize. I apologize for your dad. I apologize for all of us. I really do apologize.
Yeah, I was starting to get ready. I was like, okay, maybe we can make one playoff game, and I can just be disappointed later in the season. Now I'm back to just being ready to be disappointed by another cornerback at pick 16.
Steven, listen, I'm not here to question your ability as a father, but the fact that you're subjecting little children to what we saw for 3 hours today against the Dallas Cowboys, starting to question, man. Starting to question.
Can she snap?
I mean, I stuck through it. She started
Can
crawling
she long
away
snap?
halfway through.
Can she long snap? I mean, start her now.
First She's really got an arm on.
Yeah, first female National Football League long snapper. She's got a great chance. Zim will give her a chance.
Actually, real quick, Steven, thank you. Ava, thank you for starting your tenure as a suffering Vikings fan so young. The special teams, all right, there's so many things to talk about today. And how about this? So the special teams has just been the fact that they haven't lost a couple of these games, like to get 2 punts blocked against the Lions and like to have 2 punts blocked in a game and not lose is amazing. So the special teams, we had a botched a muffed punt by KJ Osborne early in the game, right?
Yep, you got it back.
And then
they got it back.
And then they run a beautiful fake punt, just a nobody sees it coming fake punt. Colquitt drops back and just drops back like Bradshaw in the 70s to Lynn Swan, man. Just floats a perfect spiral up there. And for God's sakes, illegal motion illegal shift before the snap, wipes it all out. The
Did you
least
see that too?
disciplined freaking special teams units in the NFL.
Nate Tice, Mike's kid, tweeted it, and it is Chris Boyd couldn't help himself. Like as the ball's
so
about
excited.
to be snapped, he's like, "I'm going to be open. I'm going to be open." And here's the problem too. That play, great play, it's gone now. It's gone. Like you ran it. So you can't like come back in 3 weeks and be like, hey, we're going to do that again. Everyone is now prepared for that play. So like you had this play, it got you a first down. It looked perfect. And then the worst part is Chris Boyd on the ensuing punt, which of course they have to punt, goes down and throws an illegal block. And I believe puts the Cowboys at midfield, to which they then score points.
Yeah. An illegal,
this cost them today.
And Chris Boyd also dropped the game-winning interception, and that was kind of tough because he had the eyes on the defender, and he turned at the last second, but that ball hit him right between the numbers. And so Chris Boyd negates a perfect fake punt. He somehow, as a gunner, gets the illegal block in the back penalty. Like he just shoves a guy in open field. Like, what are you doing? His back is turned to you. Just go around him. Just unbelievable. All right, Dex, who do we got next?
Yeah, let's go to John C. John C., you're on Vikings Vent Line.
How's it going?
Good,
What's
man.
up, John?
Hey,
A lot of Chrome Hard Seltzers for this one, John.
yeah. Honestly, I was obviously very disappointed right after the game and with the kind of Kirk Cousins desperation throw at the end. But to me, it just feels like I don't know how to feel after this game. I don't put it all on Kirk Cousins. He made a couple drives that were some great throws to Justin Jefferson. To me, I think it was the first half versus the second half. The start of the game, there was a lot of play action. It wasn't let's start out, let's just run the ball no matter what and just pound it down their throats because it's going to work, eventually. But then the second half, when they started, it was, Dalvin, and they just ran it. And then they got that play action 50-yard to Thielen, which opened that up. And I think that's just the second half to me was what they did last week and what they need to continue to do. So yeah, I think another disappointing thing about this game is, if this would have been a win, we would have been tied with Chicago, second place in the division. Now we're tied with Detroit. So, I mean, this was a pivotal game, and kind of like people were saying, it's like this supports the 8-8 campaign that is probably reality now. So
it's unbelievable. John, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. I mean, like, I still think they're probably going to win their next two games, but at this point, I have to go back to advocating for losses. I have to advocate for them losing out if they want to just make any sense of this season. If they finish 7-9, it's just a waste. If they finish 7-9, that's where this is headed now.
But you as well as I do, they are not going to they'll win at least one of the next two, if not both. And then I mean that's the thing is, like, if you were going this homestand against, again, I'll say it, 3 teams that combined 6-22, right? You had an opportunity to sweep through this. Come out of it 7-5, be in good shape. If they add an 8th playoff seed, you were in great shape. But man, it's disappointing too, because the Falcons game, they just were awful. Like they just were terrible and you buried them. This was a game where Dallas is not that good, but it's not like the Vikings were terrible across the board, right? So it's not like they came out and laid down and didn't play well. What worries me too is this one, okay? You are trying actively now, and I'm not shocked, to win games at any cost. Gentlemen, in the past 6 days, I believe, Dalvin Cook has fired 66 bullets as far as touches go, okay? 66. He has 66. 34 against the Bears, 32, if I'm not mistaken, today. Those are bullets you're not getting back. Like in 2 years, you're not going to get those back. So you're actively trying to win games. I get why, but it is a shame that you are using Cook to this extent without the results now being there, right? Because, I mean, the touches are incredible. Like, this is probably some type of record pace.
I think what's also tough, Eric Eager pointed this out, our friend from Pro Football Focus, is in those key situations when there's a minute and a half left and you got one timeout and you need to go all the way down the field to win the game or kick a field goal, whatever. You really can't use Dalvin Cook that much. Like, he's never going to be your first option in that scenario. Now, luckily, you have other great options. Justin Jefferson dropped one of those passes and Thielen. But it's like your most versatile, best offensive player is really only on the field to like pick up blitzers and be a check down option, but you don't have enough time to just do a bunch of check downs. So it's tough in those spots that you just can't really use Dalvin. Dex, who else we got here? Let's go to another fan here.
Let's go to Devin. Devin, you're on Vikings Vent Line. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Devin, what'd you think, man?
Man. Okay. Really, the only thing that I wanted to hop on here for was to talk about Jeff Gladney. So it seemed like to me every single time I saw a pass going to or going against the Vikings defense, Jeff Gladney was at some level involved with a big catch, whatever it was. I don't remember the play, but actually no, he was the cornerback who gave up the big catch by 88 CeeDee Lamb. You gotta be able to cover him. I don't know. Does he need help? I guess the entire secondary is looking rough. Sorry about that, but it's I don't know. That secondary needs a lot of help, and Jeff Gladney has been eaten alive this year. So
yeah,
what do you guys think?
Yeah, Devin, thanks for coming on, man. I mean, Judd, I think Gladney has been better than I would have expected, considering he's a rookie and the Vikings are facing a lot of, today wasn't an example, but a lot of great quarterbacks on their schedule. And I think he's mostly held his own relative to what you would expect this season. But some of Jeff Gladney's mistakes are magnified by the fact that, all right, he's not the only rookie out there. You've got Chris Boyd over here and you've got Cam Dantzler. Like, they're just running rookie after inexperienced guy out there. And so, you know, he's just part of a system of inexperience, and it's tough.
Gladney can't be blamed because we spent the entire spring and summer talking about the fact that the Vikings were basically playing with fire by going to all of these young corners. And that was a first guess. And we were right. In my mind, Gladney's improved, but you're not going to be great in his shoes every week for a couple of years. This takes some time. This is very much the Vikings' decision. Like, I mean, what you're seeing, if you're frustrated by the corners play, I get the Chris Jones non-tackle is not excusable. But if you are frustrated by them in coverage, that's not really them. That's the people that chose to play them. And that's why we spent how long, Phil? April, May, June, July, saying, are you sure you don't want to go try and at least sign a veteran corner here? And they did not. So I don't blame Gladney. I don't blame Dantzler. I think this comes back on the people that decided to play them because it's going to take time. And you name me, Phil, one rookie corner that you've seen step in with this team and be great. Rhodes developed, but that took a couple of years. Like, I can't name you one guy who from day one you said unbelievable talent, and I trust him completely.
In today's NFL, it's probably the hardest. It might even be harder than quarterback to just jump in and be great right away, just because of the way that offenses have become so favored by the rule books and the officials. You know, as a quarterback, a young quarterback, you're seeing Justin Herbert. I mean, Tua got benched today, but you're seeing young quarterbacks come in right away and not be in over their heads too badly. Like, sometimes with bad organizations, like Sam Darnold might look in over his head, but that's because those guys can come in and dictate, and there are receivers all over the place that aren't being, held and clutched and stopped from going where they want to go. As a cornerback, you're trying to get used to NFL speed for the first time. It's just a barrage of great quarterbacks. So yeah, and with no preseason, no offseason workouts, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the unit hasn't been great, but they haven't been as much of a disaster as I would have thought. So let's jump in.
Colts just won.
Yeah, Colts just won. Just walked off the Packers. So.
Who cares now?
34-31.
Other than Packer Vent Line being hilarious tomorrow on Mackey Judd.
Don't dismiss that. That's the best part.
And that's right. Even though the Vikings gave us all a crap sandwich today, if you're looking to make fun of the Packers, join us for Mackey and Judd tomorrow, the podcast, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com for Packer Vent Line. All right, let's get our next guest in here, Dex.
Let's go to Trevor. Trevor, what's going on, dude?
How's it going, fellas?
What's going on, man?
After watching that game, it's hard to really think what my feelings are, because I went on the tank for Trevor with you guys. You convinced me on that. And then it's like, now that we're on this win streak, I want to win. And then we lose to the Cowboys. And it's like, now where am I? It feels like it's this almost continuous cycle of, we're going to fall in that realm of we're not going to necessarily get the game-changing player in the draft that could help us get to the next level. We're going to be sitting in that middle spot. So for cheering in games, that part's frustrating. To talk about the actual game today, I know there's been a few callers that have talked about Zimmer and the frustrations there. And I don't know if I can blame it all on Zimmer. I feel like he did a good job in trying to dial up some things for the defense, and the players just didn't make plays. They didn't execute how we should. So, the Chris Jones tackle has been a conversation for sure. But then on top of that, it's just the players aren't making plays, and they're rookies. I mean, we expected this. And then I think it really showed today not having Hunter. I mean, not having Danielle Hunter, maybe having that off the edge. Does that get you the win today that we needed? So, I mean, having those injuries, having defensive players that are young, we've been able to survive the last 3 games through that, but then is now reality setting in again with the young defense. I mean, they're playing well, but again, they're young. It's a challenge that poses because our offense, I think, did enough to win the game, but then our defense, they had some issues across the line. And again, that I think that's kind of what we're in for this season with injuries, with being young. Kirk Cousins played well today. You can't blame it on Kirk Cousins today. The offense, I thought, looked really well, but it came down to we couldn't stop the 2-7, now 3-7 Cowboys.
Yeah.
And
Trevor, great stuff, dude. Thanks for coming in. And I think you just laid out a lot of good points, and we should respond to a couple of them here.
I'm so mad. I'm mad that Jefferson did not catch that ball, and here's why. I would have loved to have seen what the Vikings would have done, because they would have gotten a first down and significant yards after that catch, I think. And he has to catch that ball. He knows that. I would throw that ball to him again if I was Cousins in a second. But I would have loved to have seen then the onus shift back on Kirk at that point in time, because it would have given you a really good opportunity, if nothing else, to get yourself and Bailey into field goal position. So I think that's the most upsetting play to me individually of that last drive, because that's such a bad drop, and he's the last guy on earth that I thought would have dropped that ball.
Yeah, and it's like obviously it takes some of the blame for anyone looking, maybe me, for anyone looking at Kirk under a microscope and trying to pin late game blame on him. The Jefferson drop takes that blame in part off of Kirk. But I want to dive deeper on that and then address something else that our last guest brought up. Because he said, I don't think you can blame Kirk. And I am not here. Listen, Kirk Cousins for 3 quarters and 14 minutes played maybe the best quarterback he's ever played as a Minnesota Viking. He had a perfect passer rating until that final drive. And I don't know, did he wind up with a perfect passer rating still in the end?
140, I think, something.
40.1. So he was 22 of 30.
Yep.
Here's the thing. The Vikings have been in situations like that a lot in the last 3 years where the game is close. And I don't care how they got there, okay? Obviously there's blame to go around for how they got there. But this is the NFL. Games go back and forth. Defenses make mistakes. Offenses score and then give the other team the ball with a couple timeouts and some time on the clock. And this is what happens all the time, okay? And statistically, this isn't even just me off the top of my head, okay? Statistically, Kirk Cousins converts fewer opportunities in those situations than basically every quarterback in the NFL. And when I say every quarterback in the NFL, the last 6 or 7 years, I mean Baker Mayfield, I mean Blaine Gabbert, I mean some of the worst quarterbacks you've seen over the past 5 or 6 years, okay? He never converts in those situations. And I get that Justin Jefferson dropped a pass, and that's not Kirk Cousins' fault. It was a perfect pass. But why do they never convert in those situations? Why does he come in to that drive with a perfect passer rating, playing the best he's ever played, finding Justin Jefferson and finding Adam Thielen, and they're unable to even cross the 50-yard line to set up for a field goal? Why? Again, I am not saying that it's 100% his fault. Justin Jefferson shouldn't drop that pass. But for God's sakes, you can't more than once in 3 years as the Vikings quarterback complete a fourth quarter comeback victory. Come on now.
Today I can answer the question very simply. Eager pointed it out, and he's exactly right. The reason why Kirk in that situation can't do it is because the Vikings offense rotates and revolves from drive to drive around 33, not 8, Dalvin Cook. And if you take the threat of, well, you know what, if Dalvin gets the ball, he might get a chunk of yards, but he's not going to kill us out. And now I'm not concerned. You've changed the dynamic of the game completely. And the Vikings stew for 3+ quarters tastes pretty damn good because Cook is really good. But then that last drive, which is so crucial, do you know what I do? I take the key ingredient and I say, do it without this. And you can't do it. So literally the way that this offense operates, if you remove that component, that's why I come back to he's a puppet string quarterback, because you have now taken out the most important component. And when that's gone, Phil, the whole equation of how this is supposed to work is changed completely. And now 8 goes to the top of that marquee. That's a real problem. This is the problem.
Yeah, you're right. Because when you go into that final drive, guess what? The threat of Dalvin Cook is gone. The threat of Dalvin Cook exists up until the point where they know you can't hand it to him. And then it's on Kirk.
This is
And
why
it's on Justin Jefferson to not drop a pass. Sorry, Dex.
this is why I don't do dessert. Why can't I just enjoy the meal? Because then I get to dessert and I puke it all up and everything comes bad. This is why I don't do dessert, guys. This is why I don't do dessert.
What are you, a dog?
Yeah, I am a dog. Just feed me the ingredients that I need, and then once you throw in something sweet, I don't want it. I don't want it. Just saying.
Hold on. The other point that the last guest brought up was that the Vikings, once again, they're in this middle ground. And that's the most frustrating thing to me watching this team for 3+ decades. They're almost always in that middle ground. Once every 10 years, they're an NFC championship game team. They were in 2017, 2009, like 1998, a couple times there, 98, 2000, 41 donut. But like once every 10 years, they're at least a Super Bowl caliber team that comes up short. And then once every 10 years, they're never like bad enough for the number 1 pick, but they're like 3-13 and have to like find a new coach or something, right? But the other 8 years out of every 10-year cycle, they are not good enough to win a Super Bowl or compete on that level, and they're not bad enough to change their franchise with a top pick, a quarterback, a Trevor Lawrence. And here we are again. It's just like this has been the most pointless month of football ever. They beat 3 division teams just enough to get you out of the top franchise-changing quarterback sweepstakes, and then they lose a game that they shouldn't lose to Dallas, putting you right in that 6-10, 7-9 zone. So pointless.
So let's tackle the why of that point, though. And the why is because you are fundamentally trying to operate and win games with strategies that really don't work. This offensive system does not really work. And do you know why? Because, and I don't care what you try and tell me about Kirk, the problem with the coaching staff is they don't trust him. Look, first quarter of this game, gents, it's 2nd and 11, okay? 2nd and 11. This is 2020, not 1986, not 1975. 2nd and 11. And what are you doing? You're running the football in the first quarter. You tell me how many quarterbacks in 2020 that you trust do you say hand off to 33 again for another touch? It makes no sense. But this is the problem with the operation. And this is why it doesn't really give you a chance to succeed here, because you are so flying in the face of how football is played now, and you really don't care. But ultimately, the game itself is going to make you care.
Yeah. We're sitting here, and the Vikings have had 2 of the greatest running backs of the last 20 years, and Adrian Peterson and Dalvin Cook. And it makes them competitive, and it's super fun. And I think if Dalvin stays healthy for a couple more years, he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame, and he becomes maybe he becomes the greatest Vikings running back of all time if he keeps doing this stuff, but probably the 2nd greatest Vikings running back of all time. But it's so hard to win at the top level when your offense and team is so reliant on running the ball the way Adrian had to be fed in 2007. Of course, the one year that they almost did win the Super Bowl, they actually built their offense more around Brett Favre and the things he wanted to do. And Adrian was sort of like passed to set up the run with a Hall of Fame running back in 2009.
It was ideal.
And this year, it is very much run to set up the pass. And the point that you and Eric Eager made that answered my question, why can't they pull out games late in the 4th quarter under Kirk Cousins? And you're right, because you take away the thing, like the reason why Kirk was so great today is because of the threat of Dalvin Cook. A lot of these big plays, he had some plays where they were shotgun 5 wide or whatever, but like when you can play action and you can suck these defenders in, there was a play to Adam Thielen where they showed the all 22 cam, and it's a play action fake to Dalvin Cook with action moving to the right. Defenders come up. Adam Thielen runs a route against the seam, going away from all the action, wide open. Like that's how everything is schemed. That play you cannot run with a minute and a half to go, and you need you need what, like 40 or 50 yards. Like, they will not buy into a fake handoff in that spot. So you guys nailed it.
Right.
All right, let's shut up here. Mostly me. I'll shut up, and then we can get to more Vikings fans here. Vikings Vent Line, powered by Corona Hard Seltzer, live on Purple Daily YouTube channel, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast, with Mackey and Judd, Declan producing. And you can find Judd's post-game written work at scorenorth.com. You can also find our other show, Mackey and Judd, 5 days a week, where we'll give our pie chart of blame tomorrow. But Dex, who's our next guest?
Let's go to Connor. Connor, you're on Vikings Vent Line.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up?
Oh man, there's so much stuff that comes up for me there. First thing, as like a fan from Scotland, it's taken me a little longer to get into the game, and some of these rules are a little bit crazy. I'm just starting to get a hold of this one where the offensive linemen are too far down the field on a passing play. I've just about got my hold of that. And then you come at me today with like no motions on punts. Like, what is going on there? Like, too many rules in this game. But
Connor, maybe you should just stick to binging The Crown on Netflix. All right, that's my advice.
I gotta say, I could also do with some Corona hard seltzers over here, because some pure beach vibes really warm up this night. But
Love it.
I think listening to you talk there, it's not. I don't even think about it as like a Cook versus Cousins thing. It's the whole construction of the team. I think I heard it was you guys were talking this week about, this team doesn't need a third wide receiver because you run the ball, you got two great wide receivers and a tight end. But when you come to those plays at the end of the game, you need that third wide receiver. You need guards who can block on pure passing plays. You need, a different construction of a team rather than one that's just going to run the ball down your throat.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you look out there and Declan's guy Chad Beebe is the third wide receiver, or you give BC Johnson another shot to be the third wide receiver, and what did he pick up, a face mask penalty on his only?
When his name, when I heard, I'm like, who's 81? I've not seen 81 in a. What? BC Johnson? He's out there? Oh, face mask. Yeah, guess we won't see him again for a while.
Yeah. So, well, listen, Connor, we appreciate you coming on and jumping in from across the pond. What time is it there? It's got to be like 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah, 1 a.m. here. One last thing I say quickly before I go: the football or soccer team that I support here, growing up, we went 114 years without winning the cup. So, we can all settle in for a few more decades yet.
Thanks for the good news.
Thanks, Connor.
Appreciate it.
Some optimism and perspective there. Yes, awesome. Things that we don't necessarily like to bring to the show, but Connor did.
Hey, thought on the last drive. Where was Irv Smith possibly? Like, Irv Smith is the exact type of guy who, if I'm trying to drive the ball down the field, I probably look to at least a little bit.
Some yak too.
He got 2 passes for 23 yards. I don't understand the hesitancy to use him more as a hybrid type of tight end receiver, because I think he's certainly got that capability. I would definitely at least look to him, and it feels like there's large chunks of games where he's playing and disappears. So just seems odd to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw Kyle Rudolph on the field for a couple of those plays at the end. I'd like to see. Yeah, I'd have to go back and see if it was Irvon for that fourth down play. I don't know. And a bunch of people have brought up, of course, if you had a quarterback who's more mobile, you have a better shot in those situations. Wow. It really handcuffs you when you have a passing game predicated on playing off play action and very little mobility out of your quarterback. Like, you have to protect, you have to be super precise. You can't drop passes. And when you don't do all of those things, you're not going to convert with a minute and a half left in a timeout. Looks like we have Chansey in the queue here ready to rock. So
yes, we do.
Let's get our guy Chansey, usually in Fargo. Where are you today, sir?
Calling you guys from the Hulverson garage, sitting in the boat. And I picked this location today because I'm going to throw another stupid, crazy analogy at you guys. So last week, I called with my fireside chat, and I'm saying, I can't believe how good this defense looks, right? And there's guys that I've never heard of that are making plays. Okay, so I took this boat in to get winterized earlier in the fall, thinking, I know Minnesota, it's getting cold, it's going to get crappy, the snow's going to be on the ground. And then a couple of weeks later, it's starting to be kind of a nice October, November. You're like, what? I could still be boating. And then now it sucks again. It's cold, and I'm snapping the covers on this thing tonight, and I'm thinking that's the same way this Viking season is. Last week, I was buying into that November, October weather, even though I knew better. And then today, here's Chris Jones trying to make a tackle. You know that guy I was talking about I've never heard of last week that was supposedly playing well? Well, now this week, he's that same idiot that'll be, playing in the Arena Football League or something next year. So it was fool's gold. And I admit it. I fell into it. It was stupid. I bought into the ridiculous idea that, I wasn't buying into that they were some kind of a Super Bowl team. I was buying into relevancy, like thinking, what the hell? Let's have fun with this. Let's see what can go. And like you guys said, now we're in the 7 to 9 bit. They're going to be drafting 10 to 14. That's where this team is. How does this special teams coach have a job anymore?
This is and why is he the team? Marwin Malouf, and he's been there for at least 2 or 3 years now, and I have no idea. And I fully expect that his termination will come late tonight and be announced tomorrow.
Dude, yeah, he's going to get fired, right? Like he has to get fired. I mean, I want you guys to put yourself in his shoes for just a brief, fleeting moment during this game. So he's in the last couple weeks. It's been, and it's all self-inflicted, but it's just been one big time special teams mistake after another. Block punts. You got a long snapper that rolls ground balls. It's all these terrible things, and he's getting screamed at on the sidelines by Mike Zimmer, and the cameras are picking it up. And all of a sudden, they get the perfect look on a 4th and 10 for a fake punt. And he's probably sitting over there like, we're going to make up for all of these mistakes. This is amazing. And Colquitt drops back, and it's slow motion. The NFL Films music is playing, and he floats a perfect pass, and the Vikings convert the first down. And for that moment right there, Malouf is probably on the sidelines, ready to high-five Mike Zimmer. See? And there's laundry on the field, and it's Chris Boyd so excited that the fake punt look is out in front of them, and he's just tap dancing over by the sidelines, like, guys, throw it to me.
He's like
throw it to me.
Down.
It's
he's
like
jumping
dude,
up and down pre-snap.
Calm down, you idiot! What are you doing? You're gonna get me fired.
But the whole surprise of the play exists in not getting excited prematurely. Like that's how the play works. Like you've got to be like, if you're coaching that play, you have to be like, Chris, I don't care. I don't care if you're about to catch a touchdown pass. Just calm down and stand there stationary. And instead he's like, and this is pre-snap. And then he takes a stupid penalty after that, which puts the Cowboys at midfield and they score. I really do think with Mike having the patience that Mike does or does not have, Chancey, I really do. I will not be surprised if his press conference tomorrow includes the news of the termination of the special teams coordinator. I won't be surprised at all.
That would be deserved. And the last thing I would say on the game, like you guys have been hitting on this, and I really I like your analysis there, Judd, with the when the play action is not an option at the end of games, but I've been on this calling and saying the same thing over and over, and I've been mostly saying it needs to be more of a passing offense, but ultimately what I realize is that the margin of error, the way they try to play football, is so slim, so tight, that you got 11 guys on the field running how many plays, and it only takes one guy screwing up one thing at 1 second to make the game go the wrong way, versus other teams' margin of error is wider. The quarterback scrambles, he gets outside the pocket, he makes an unpredictable play. Just because Justin Jefferson dropped a pass doesn't mean that Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes go, well, that was the game, head to the showers, let's get the cold water running. It's not over for other teams, and it is for us. And I'm sick and tired of that's the margin of error factor, right? We're going to play this running the ball possession, defense-oriented game where we're going to win by 2. We got to make an extra point, and we got to make a 53-yard field goal. No, there's too many variables that can go wrong, and if you're a Vikings fan, that one of them is going to, if not 7 of them. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that way. We have to have the attitude we're blowing people out. We're removing the margin for error. We're beating you by 30, not 1. I'm sick of it. Just, you can't win that way. Not consistently. You can win that way 1 or 2 games, and then you fall back down to earth against the 2-7 Dallas Cowboys, and you realize, oh yeah, that really doesn't work.
Yeah, and then Chancey, and then of course, like when you do put it all, when you use that formula and you put it all together in 2017, and everything goes right up until the NFC Championship game, and you get smoked, it sort of validates the approach of let's get 11 perfect defensive players, all in their prime, all healthy. Yeah. Let's do ball control on offense, and let's have a quarterback that's there to manage the game, and have all those things come together every single week for full seasons. It's like 2017 was their pot of gold. Like you had everything go right with the formula that you built, and you got smoked in the NFC Championship game. And that's why for the first month and a half this season, I was so excited for the Vikings. Like, oh man, this is your exit strategy. You can get out of it. You can get a franchise changing quarterback, and you can reset and have a bunch of talent for next year. And, you know, it's hard to be super mad because like what they've done over the last month is they've shown fight, and they've shown that there is some talent, and they've also shown that they haven't quit on Mike Zimmer. So there's a lot of things that you can be happy about, but it also just puts you back in that same middle ground that you've been talking about, Chancey, basically every week here.
Dalvin Cook validates Mike Zimmer's strategy, and in that alone, it makes me almost kind of secretly not like Dalvin Cook. I mean, Dalvin Cook's a great player, but if it wasn't Dalvin Cook, right, if it was just run-of-the-mill average running back.
Alexander Madison.
Yeah. Then you wouldn't be talking about this, because everybody would see the fault and the logic and go, this will never work. How can we play like this? But it's just a circle where you keep running around, and Mike Zimmer's, every time you're ready to stomp on the bug that's Mike Zimmer's strategy, somebody else pops up and they win 2 games in a row. You're like, well, maybe, but we all know not really. It's never going to work. Yep. Signing off from the Halverson ship. I'm going to snap the cover on this boat. There's a lot of Vikings ship lines I could say. This ship's sinking, but I'm just going to snap the cover on this, winterize this. The Viking season just got winterized.
Make sure you tip the Alan Almo's workers on that boat too, and hide the evidence.
Just go get a drink.
Boat party. All
right, who else we got? Who's our next guest? Declan. Vikings vent line.
Yeah, let's go to Mike L. Mike, you're on a Vikings vent line. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, man.
What's happening, dude?
Oh, not much. Big fan of the show. First time calling in. So from Portland, Oregon. So yeah.
Well, at least you get your evening back. You know, those of us in the central time zone here, and the guy who called in from Scotland,
well,
like that guy
actually should have gone and done something useful like hike or whatever. But I get caught up watching this terrible team, but so yeah, I just had a good analogy, I guess, where for this Vikings season. So it's kind of like when you've had a crappy week at work and you're just excited for a party coming up on the weekend, and you're just like, okay, like this will be good, and you get there and it's just kind of like, this is pretty lame. Start out 0-4 or whatever it is. You're like, okay, I had a hard week, so I'd like to kind of have fun, stick around, and then you just realize, okay, it's not happening. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to be productive the next day, and we'll just kind of move on. Then, you get a little slight glimmer of hope because something, some fun people show up or whatever like that. So you're like, okay, I'll stick around for another drink or two, something like that. And you keep going. And then you're like, all right, now I'm on board. I'm ready to go. And then you're like, all right, I'm just going to be all in. And now you've just kind of committed and you're opening up the vein or whatever. And now you just got to keep going. And unfortunately, you just realize, wow, I made a big mistake. And you're like, I'm just going to pay for this, because clearly, we're all in for the tank for Trevor. And then they mess that up. And so you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to have a fun time and go along for the ride and just hope for the wins. and now they messed that up as well. So it's just like you're kind of just going to be waking up in the morning and just being like, okay, I got nothing to show for this.
What a headache.
You know,
a big old headache.
Mike, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for the party analogy. I want to piggyback off Mike's analogy because we've all been there before. When things are going. Declan's been there. Probably was there last night. Actually no, because we're in a shutdown now. But in Minnesota, where things are going pretty well between midnight and 2 o'clock, and then the lights come on at the bar, and you're like, or they're like, ooh, you know, that's what happened today for the Viking season. The lights came on at the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning.
At the absolute key time, Dalvin left. That's the problem. He's like, I'm going home now. I'm sober. And you're like, no, but dude, you're the life of the party. You can't go home. He's like, bye. Kirk's staying. You're like, what? Are you sure about that?
Oh,
thanks a lot, Dalvin.
Dex, who else we got here?
Yeah, let's go to,
just to reset real quick, Vikings Vent Line, if you're just joining us, powered by Corona Hard Seltzer, Mackey and Judd. Declan is taking your submissions. People are asking in the chat. I don't know if it depends on what device you're watching on, but on the bottom scroll, the email address, if you want to be part of the video, you can email vikingsventline@gmail.com, and we may be able to send you the invite if we're not too crowded here. But let's get to our next one.
Let's go to Paulford Skull, who returns to the show after a couple weeks off. Paulford Skull, what's up, buddy? Oh,
I think you're muted.
You gotta unmute your mic there.
There we go.
There you go.
Unmuted.
I think
the dogs want to join us. Hey,
Nice.
I don't know if it's been addressed yet, but I want to address the elephant in the room. And maybe it's that woe is me. But if I was making that pie chart of blame, there is a large piece of that pecan pie that is going to the referees. 50% is going to that officiating crew because Adam Thielen, I thought, was about to get in a fist fight with him. And I don't know how many times when there was blatant flags that should have been thrown, they didn't get a single one. Now, I know that comes down to, all right, we're feeling sorry for ourselves. We're not getting any breaks. And then you're like, well, that was an egregious play. Where's the flag? And the refs are like, oh, that's a hot girl in the stands. Oh, there's no fans. And then what happens? We have the only, in like the last decade, the only time we do a fake punt, our guy gets so excited. He's running and jumping. He's like your puppy you just let inside, like, pet me, pet me, pet me. And flag. There's another flag.
It was a justified flag.
I'm not even so mad at Zimmer in this game.
Zimmer, amazing.
Zimmer tried. He tried. That defense fell flat on his face today. Kubiak, I'm a little upset at him. He's going to get a little piece of that pie and that pie chart of blame because we all know under 2 minutes left, Kirk Cousins has the ball. And I'm not mad at Kirk. Kirk played a good game. He did. I'm not like, hey, Kirk Cousins MVP, sign him 10 more years for $1 billion. That's not what I'm saying. But Kirk did play a good game. But he went to his safety blanket. He was that 4-year-old child that grabbed that blanket, walked back to the bedroom, and said, Adam Thielen, where are you at? Adam! They took Dalvin off the field, like Judd said. Just put 33 back there and run a wildcat in under 2 minutes. That's all I ask.
Wildcat.
If you could go back and re-rack that drive, knowing how it just completely crapped out, if you ran wildcat on every play for that drive, knowing that the clock was running and you only have one timeout, would they have had a better chance of getting into field goal range than they did with what they tried?
The only time
they probably did.
Would have gained 3
yards. The only
yards.
time I think the referees threw a flag is on that PAT. That guy was offsides by a half a day. And they were like, well, I guess we got to throw a flag here. And everybody was like, okay, yeah, no joke, huh? Like, I'm surprised you threw the flag there.
Hey, Paulford, the problem is this. All of the goodwill that we had in this state towards officials was used up on Friday night during the Purdue Gopher game because of that call on the Purdue tight end. That took away all goodwill that officiating was going to give us in sports for the next 3 days. So that's the problem. When they called that tight end for the OPI, that was it. We were done with getting calls our way for the weekend.
The Cowboys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I know the Vikings had a short week. That's not an excuse. But the Cowboys, if you guys notice the exact same thing that what I was watching during this game, and I'm down here in Tennessee, right outside Nashville, so I was watching a sports bar, and they had the stupid Packers on the loudspeaker, and then I got to listen to them cry, so that made it a little bittersweet. But the Cowboys, what did they do? They checked the ball down, and they handed it off. They checked it down and handed it off. Did Andy Dalton get back there where he could get sacked? Nope, because what happened when he dropped back? the Vikings got to him. And they knew how to beat this Vikings defense because they said, oh, we can't have him time back there. That big red rocket? No way, not a chance. They said, throw it 5 yards, throw it 6 yards, give it to Zeke. Well, give it to what's his name? That Pollard kid.
Pollard, yeah.
Yeah, he'll run it to the house because our cornerback's over there on a smoke break.
Yeah, give it. Yeah, I think the strategy going forward is if you ever see Chris Jones in the game, just call a run play right at him, and he will matador his way off to the left, 42-yard touchdown.
You guys will laugh at this too. So in one of the other Vikings podcasts I watched this week, we were talking about the cornerbacks and how we literally just signed their death certificate last week. And I made a comment in there. I'm like, man, Chris Jones, he's really stepped up. He was working at Lowe's last week. And he replied back in the comments, and he's like, man, I've been in the league all year long.
What?
And, yeah, he replied
Wow, really? You got a reply?
Yeah, he replied back to me. He's like, man, I've been in the league all year. And I was like, hey, man, you've been playing really good. We appreciate, your services. And then this happened.
I think you might have to go back into that comment section and let him know what you really think of his performance.
I think he was
today.
playing part of the year, if I'm not mistaken, for Detroit. So to say that he's been in the league the entire year is sort of not true. Like, Detroit doesn't count. Sorry. Like, if you're with Detroit, you're not really in the National Football League. You're getting paid to play football, but I'm not sure what that league is, okay? They got shut out today, by the way.
And you guys tell me this, too. And I think Chancey hit the nail on the head there, too. I think we all love Chancey here. How many of you, and I think all the listeners will probably agree with me, too, the Vikings got the ball back with under 2 minutes, and we all knew what was about to happen. Seattle, the Titans game, the exact same thing. We couldn't even get a first down.
Yep. And you know what, Pulford, thanks for coming on, dude. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you next week after the Teddy Bridgewater game.
Great horseshoe dip he's got in there.
Yeah, a lot of people. I think we might have to rename Pulford Skoal to SKOAL for the weeks going forward. Big fan. A lot of people big fans of the power dip. The Adrian Peterson, I just ran for 200 yards and my day is over dip cup on the sidelines. But I just want to bring up this point without focusing specifically on Kirk, because I think a lot of people, Judd, Chancey, have brought up sort of systematic issues with how the Vikings go about. Like, if the Vikings don't have a lead and they're not leveraging play action for their passing attack, if it's 5 wide and it's just, hey, defensive ends are going to pin their ears back and the quarterback has to make something happen and the offensive line has to hold up, they're screwed in those situations. And I just want to highlight, whether it's systematic or whether it's the quarterback not being mobile or any number of different things, if you can't convert those situations into at least game-tying field goals and ideally game-winning touchdowns more than once every 3 years, you have a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to blame Kirk for all those, you can. If you want to blame the offensive philosophy, you can. If you want to blame the offensive line, we can have that discussion. But the reality is, Kirk Cousins has been the starting quarterback for almost 3 full seasons. This has been the Vikings' offensive approach for all 3 of those seasons, and even going back further. And they have 1 fourth quarter comeback victory over that stretch. That is a huge problem in a league in which you're going to be trailing in the fourth quarter a lot. It's the freaking NFL.
Well, if I was to just tell you without naming names, that in 2020 that your offense was going to be focused around the run and not the pass, and that you were actually going to have a quarterback who could pass and could manage the game, but you were afraid to put him in crucial situations. So your back was the key guy. I think that you would tell me that's a formula that's not going to consistently be possible to win games. Like, it might win you some games, but if you were to strip out the names and just go with what the Vikings' fundamental offensive philosophy is, I think that we would all say that's probably really dicey and it's probably not a good starting point. And that's that. But one thing that we should bring up here too, 180 yards rushing against today. Zeke had, I think, 103, but the Cowboys rushed for 180 yards against the Vikings. That is not acceptable. Like, that is a really bad. That's how Andy Dalton looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how he has a really nice day, because their ground game was way too successful against a defense that has problems. I get that, but I really thought that there had been some progress made in that area in the last 3 weeks since the bye.
Yeah, and just okay, we have a comment on the screen here from LeBron fan 23, all caps. Kirk is not the problem. It's the defense. Kirk played well. And I just want to let's replace in this exercise. Let's replace the word Kirk with Vikings offensive setup. Okay? Let's so take Kirk's name out and let's read this again. The Vikings offensive setup, all right? You're going to be trailing in the fourth quarter in the NFL. I don't care if it's 38-35 or if it's 10-6. I don't care if your defense gave up 7 touchdowns or if your defense has been amazing. It is the NFL. You're going to be trailing in the fourth quarter on a pretty regular basis, like a lot of the best teams do. The Kansas City Chiefs trail in the fourth quarter sometimes because that's how the NFL works. Can you overcome deficits in the fourth quarter and win those games? And the answer for, again, I'm going to take Kirk's name out of this. The answer for the Vikings offensive setup over the last 3 years is no in every instance except one.
And you got the ball back with 1:37 left. There was a ton of time. A timeout, 1:37. So not 30 seconds left. So you had time to, as they say, matriculate down the field and set something up, and you went 4 and out. That's a problem. We don't have to blame Kirk here. What we have to do is say why in 3 situations this year, when you had time to move and time to set up what could have been at least giving yourself a chance for a win, Tennessee, Seattle, and today, why did it feel like you didn't have a chance? 1 minute, 37 seconds left is a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and you could not get a first down, okay? I don't care who you blame. There's a problem there. Like, that can't be well, we tried. Like, that can't be the answer.
Yep.
So if you want to absolve the quarterback, that's fine. But from a starting point, tell me what is wrong where you consistently can't do this in a league, by the way, where it is required that to win a championship, this be part of your team. Your DNA has to have a part that says late games looks tough. We embrace that. Not late games looks tough. Oh my God, we're dead. Because that's what we're saying right now.
Yeah. Who's our next guest here on Vikings Vent Line, Dex?
Let's go to Tyler. Tyler, you're on Vikings Vent Line, dude. How you doing?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Tyler? Fire away.
Well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yo, what's going on? So yeah, you guys pretty much just nailed everything to a T. I really don't have much. What you guys were talking about, like when you guys dive deep this week, I want to know where we position for our 2-minute offense. I think it's the worst in the league. Honestly, when we get the ball 2 minutes left in the game, we do nothing with it. Absolutely nothing with it. It started off with the check down pass. He was getting pressure a little bit. Kirk was, and you're telling me right now, Justin Jefferson, name them all, Irv, Rudolph, all of them. We cannot carve that defense to score a touchdown. You know what I mean? Help me out here.
Yeah.
So
no, you can.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's as soon as you take away the threat of Dalvin Cook, and as soon as the defense knows that you have to pass, this team can't move the ball. This is a fact. They can't move the ball.
Even went back from last week, and I think it was like 1:33 left in the Bears game. And before halftime, remember, they ended up just running the ball once or twice and taking a knee. Like, why can't we just turn that into points somehow? 1:33 with 2 timeouts left. Why can't we just at least try?
You're right.
And I know Aaron Rodgers lost, but guess what he did? He took his team down all the way down to tie it up with a field goal. And I'm not saying Kirk is Aaron Rodgers, but like you guys always say, he's getting paid Aaron Rodgers money. So
yeah, man. Tyler,
I'm over it. I'm over it.
Thanks for coming on, dude. I think your frustrations are pretty similar to what a lot of people are feeling right now after watching this thing. So let's keep rolling here. We have a full room. I see a bunch of people still trying to get in. So we'll try and get to as many people as we can here on Vikings Vent Line live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. If you could click that subscribe button, or if you could also download the audio version on Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com. You'd enjoy 7 days a week of masochistic Vikings discussion. It'd be great.
Let's go to our guy Raymond. Raymond, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? So I'm with Judd here. Why are we trying to win in a COVID season, like where nothing really matters? Like, don't understand, like, what are we trying to do? Like, this is the definition of insanity. Like, we are trying to win and win for no reason. We're going to go 8-8 this year, 6-10, whatever we do. Like, we're going to do that, pick a cornerback in the first round, and we're going to, like, that's what we're going to do. Like, this is what we're doing right now. Like, I'm so frustrated, guys. I love you guys, listen to you guys every day at work. I'm just like, Judd, you're my guy. Like, I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? That's my
banging our collective heads and skulls against the wall at every turn. And here's the problem too. Everyone's safe now. No one, Zim is safe, Spielman is safe. And so you might be right. Like, they might be drafting, let's say they draft like 14th or something. They might go corner. I don't know. And I don't trust them to take a quarterback because I don't think that they are confident enough in themselves to think that they'll be right at that pick. So yeah, it is. Look, personally, I think the best path would have been to continue to lose. But as a person that has to watch this team, I sort of embrace this run. And I thought, well, if they're on the right track, this is cool. But then it goes back to what we discussed when they did win the Packers game, which is you got to go now. And you got to beat the Cowboys and you should beat Carolina and Jacksonville. And I don't want to hear all we're building now. And it feels like today sets you back. And this is a tough loss because your formula, for the most part, at least offensively, actually did work today. The problem is it got too close. And when the Vikings have to touch that stove at the end, it feels hopeless. But the problem, the Falcons game was disappointing, was terrible, but they just got blown out and they played like crap. This was actually a game where you could have won and you turned the game over with, bad special teams. Again, a late drive that went nowhere. And so it is really frustrating because I think a fair question to the franchise itself is, what's your path here and what are you doing? Like, what are your intentions with this team? And I don't know. I really don't know. Sorry.
I don't either. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, Raymond, thanks for coming on, dude. And I don't know, it looks like you got a bunch of Vikings fans in there.
Yeah.
So to anyone, we recommend Corona Hard Seltzer tonight.
Right.
Be responsible, of course.
All right. See you, Raymond. Let's keep rolling here, Dex. Who else we got?
Let's go to Dylan. Dylan, what are you sipping on there, my man? Is there Corona Hard Seltzers in there?
Well, yeah, guys, I got a seltzer in there for sure, but here's the deal here. You guys can hear me pretty well?
Yep.
Yes,
Fire away.
All right, cool. So I'll never forget a couple years ago, I went to the Pro Bowl, right, in Orlando, and I saw Patrick Mahomes up close and personal, right? And the dude says hut, and he climbs the pocket and tucks the ball so well when those tackles collapse. And I think that's what Kirk Cousins is missing. So once he starts running off to the left or the right, it looks like he took a dump in his shorts and he just high knees his way over there. He doesn't know what he's doing. I think that's the problem. I'm telling you. So what we're doing here, I'm serious. So what's going to happen here is the Vikings are going to take Wyatt Davis out of Ohio State, the guard. That's kind of where we're sitting at. So we're gonna take a guard. But if we took Justin Fields, just trade 2 first-round picks, take Justin Fields, even if he has to sit behind Kirk Cousins, we're fine. I'm telling you, that's the move. Like that's what we got to do.
Yeah, Dylan. I agree on it is hilarious, man. Like
that's a great line.
He got outside the pocket a couple times today, and it's just you're just like praying that he gets to the sidelines because you're just waiting for a semi truck to come over and T-bone him right like a yard from the boundary. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, if you got to sit there and say you got to work on running more, I mean, you just know you're overthinking it. Like that's the problem. Like it's got to be natural, and it's just not natural. That's the issue.
Yeah, Dylan, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Great analogy, dude. Great analogy.
Yep.
One thing that I want to broach to give serious thought to, and just tuck this away for now, but would you consider including, if you could, in a trade package to move up Danielle Hunter?
I knew you were going there.
Because here's the thing, neck injury, and it looks like the steam is absolutely correct. He wants to come back as the highest paid pass rushing end in the National Football League next year. If he didn't, then I'd be like, I wouldn't trade him. I love him.
Here's the thing. Think about it. Because I feel like we should do a deep dive into this. We should just devote a Purple Daily episode at some point to this. But this came up briefly, I think, on Mackey and Judd a month or two back. And the argument and the notion was, would you trade a first-round pick and Danielle Hunter to guarantee like Justin Fields or a franchise changing like Trevor Lawrence, whatever that looks like? Would you go to the Jets and say, listen, you guys already have Sam Darnold. Why don't you take another run with Sam Darnold and just get some better coaches in here and work with him?
Sure.
We'll take the number 1 pick off your hands and we'll draft Trevor Lawrence. We'll give you an elite pass rusher and a first round pick that will also be fairly high, right? And the pushback is, well, Danielle Hunter's the best pass rusher in the NFL. Well, you can't get rid of him, to which I say, it doesn't matter if you don't have a quarterback that can carry your franchise too. And so I would rather surefire get that quarterback and then try to find the next Danielle Hunter somewhere else.
Would you do it for
and continue to play this game of mediocre quarterbacks that make too much money?
Would you do it for Justin Fields? Because I don't think the Jets would. I don't think the Jets would do that trade. I think you might have an off chance at getting the Fields pick, though. I think that might be possible.
I would 100%.
Because he wants to break your bank, and I don't know that you can afford him.
I would trade Danielle Hunter and my first round pick, let's say the 11th overall pick, for Justin Fields. And if they could kick in like a 4th rounder just to give me an extra shot at a pass rusher in the middle rounds or something, like
sure,
all day long I would do that. And I actually think other teams, if given medical clearance on the neck surgery, I think other teams would consider it too. We should do a full dive into that at some point.
It's reckless, but
it is
possible.
very reckless. Yeah. Who else we got, Dex?
Let's go to loyal listener Kip. Kip, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, I just to Phil's point, Kirk Cousins or the offensive philosophy is kind of like that new car you get. It smells really nice, but you don't want to take it out in traffic. So pick whatever sports car you want to put in there, Camaro, and you only take it like during the summer. But if it starts to rain, you pack it in. And I was waiting for the ball to drop because I was like, Kirk Cousins is playing way too good in the situation. And as soon as the 2-minute drive happened, I heard Declan pop 2 Corona hard seltzers and start chugging because we all knew it was gonna happen. And my question is do you think the 2 turnovers? Because I don't think they were Kirk's fault. I think they were just really good defensive plays. With the Dalvin hit, and then at the end, and I think they just got too conservative. Man, this defense came to play today. We got to go back, rely on Dalvin because they were rolling through the field, and you're thinking, okay, they played cruddy the first half, and then they came out and just, he came back, and every time Dallas scored, Kirk answered with a touchdown. So I think it's kind of like that sports car. You don't want to get it dirty. So now it's time to trade it in for the newer model. Heck, I'd even ship off Anthony Barr as well too with Danielle Hunter, and I'd sit Zim down in the offseason and say, Zim, we're going to ship off your players, but we're going to get a really good mobile quarterback, and we're going to have Gary develop him, and then you can develop your 4th and 5th rounders because you've done a really good job, and we're gonna hog tie Zim in the closet in the first round, so he can't say go get that tackle. So I that's just my conspiracy theory, and I'm waiting for SportsStat to just do the take because I love Judd's takes, and I thought he was spot on today. They just don't trust him. They do not trust. They're gonna just hold him back, and then they can go at the end of the season when the Wolves are saying, all right, who's going to get fired? They're going to say, all right, trade Kirk to San Francisco now because it was all his fault because I got all my players opted out. So it's not our fault. So that's just my thoughts, and enjoy the show as always. And I'm at work, so I can't enjoy a hard seltzer, but I'll enjoy one later on today because I'm going to need it because all my Redskin fans are mad at me. All my buddies are mad at me because they wanted us to beat Dallas today so they can have a good Thanksgiving. So
Kip, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Kip.
All right, peace out, Kip. It's good stuff, man. Hey, I got another reckless speculation idea for you guys. Just this Mike Zimmer. I think Mike Zimmer's having a great season as a coach for the most part. People are going to rip him for the defensive performance today. I mean, he's literally working with backups and rookies, and games like today are going to happen. It's not ideal. The defense is ranked in the bottom third of almost every meaningful category. So this is probably the worst defensive season that he has overseen as a coordinator or head coach in 20 years. But I also think that he's done a good job in a lot of ways. If they continue to win some of these games and they go 7-9 and the defense shows some progress, I think this season will be looked at league wide as Mike Zimmer doing a pretty good job. Like, wow, pandemic year, a bunch of 15 rookies. In 2002, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've got this in front of me here. The Oakland Raiders sent John Gruden to Tampa Bay in exchange for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and cash.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Dallas Cowboys would send a first-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for Mike Zimmer? If they go 7-9, show fight.
The problem is, if that were a possibility for Jerry and the boys, I think it actually was hurt today because McCarthy won a 3rd game, and you're saying now, oh, look at this, and McCarthy called a nice game. So I think the possibility of McCarthy being fired after 1 year decreases each time the Cowboys look okay, which they did today. So my answer right now would probably be no. Now, if the Cowboys lose out and are terrible, it's a possibility. But I really think that your chance to pull off a trade with the Cowboys that involved your coach was last year. That Saints game too, which saved Mike, I think. But that Saints game, I think, would have been the time to call up the Cowboys and say, you know what, Mike's been really good here, but it's been a while and things aren't as good as we'd like them, but he's still got a lot left in the coaching tank. So I really think the time, if you were going to get like a 1st-round pick or a 1st and 3rd for Zimmer's rights, would have been last year after the Vikings beat the Saints, because I think Jerry would have said at that time, hell yeah, look at, he's great defensively. He just won a playoff game. So I think they missed the window.
I'm just thinking about, making the shift organizationally to just a more offensive forward mindset and to be able to really capitalize in the 2-minute drill more often, right? And
absolutely, Phil.
That would just be great. And if you could, you think about, and I don't think this is just wild speculation. I think Dallas had interest less than a year ago in trading for Mike Zimmer. There were reports out there. Mm-hmm. And obviously they're paying Mike McCarthy a bunch of money, but they're terrible, and they're probably going to finish like 6-10 or something. Even if they have to go on a run to finish 6-10 at this point. But if you were to get a 1st-round pick for Mike Zimmer, you would then have enough ammunition with 2 first-round picks in the top 15, most likely, to trade up into the top 5 if you wanted to get a franchise quarterback, and then you could hire Eric Bieniemy as your head coach. That's a scenario that makes me very excited. And I don't think it's completely like, it's not just like never going to happen. I think if the Dallas Cowboys finish like 6-10 and Mike McCarthy is still hated by players, I think there's a good chance Jerry Jones, as he gets older, what is he, like 80 years old? I mean, Jerry Jones at some point, like, dude wants to win another Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson. And he loves Mike Zimmer. So just throwing it out there. We could do a deeper dive as we get further.
Your window, I think, passed, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because I really think it was there. And I think that the steam at the time about the trade was completely legit. And I think when you said, oh, no, we're keeping him and we're signing him to a 3-year extension, I think that probably damaged your chances of doing that, which, by the way, I did endorse at the time and was very intrigued by the possibility.
Al Einstein chimes in the YouTube comments. Wow, you guys are playing Madden. Welcome to Reckless Speculation with Mackey and Judd. That's what we do here. Yes. All right, who else we got? Let's bring another guest in, Declan.
Let's go to Mike, who is calling us from, I believe, New York. Mike, what's going on, dude?
Mike, I think you're muted.
Just got to unmute your mic. There you go.
Mike. Yep, I got it.
There we go.
Mike, unmute your mic.
Because it's the first time, guys, so just bear with me here.
Mike's like first time using the computer tonight. That's great.
I'm excited to talk to you guys. My son hooked me up with you guys. I didn't even know what this was until I've been up in Minneapolis. I was at the Minneapolis Miracle game. People around here can't believe I've been a Vikings fan, but there's a lot of Vikings fans, first of all over the place. As you know, we just heard Portland, Oregon, Nashville, Tennessee. They're all over the place. I mean, we got a bar here that'll have 150 Vikings fans in Rochester, New York. I mean, it is really a disease. I got my brother, my son, my daughter are all hooked up on this stuff. So, but I really want to just
on this stuff
here because I haven't been able to. What's that?
Nothing. It was just a good line.
Inject the
poison. Up on Vikings cocaine, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
Vikings heroin.
It's crazy because it's an addicting thing since 1973 when I saw him lose 3 out of the first 4 Super Bowls at a really young age. So I want to just go out and say, listen, I'm sorry, Declan, that I don't have the Corona Seltzer. We had Bud Light Seltzer, but I would definitely make sure I'm on the show next time and do Corona Seltzer because it is the best stuff. Number one.
Thanks, dude.
Checks in the mail, Mike. Thanks.
Right.
Mackey, unbelievable. The one thing you've stayed positive this whole time, and it's very hard when you're 1-5 and you're getting a lot of this negativity. The one thing I really wanted to point out with you is staying positive during this time when a playoff run really does make a difference, especially for the Vikings and especially for the NFC, which today is still wide open. If you watch the Saints today, I know they won. You will see the Bucs tomorrow, but those maybe are the two best teams. You get in, you can do something in the NFC. It's not the AFC right now. So I like the positivity of people are saying, tank for Trevor, do this. You don't want to do that. If we want to keep this coach, the system going, okay, you might have a down year, but you can get hot at the end. We saw some wild card teams do that. Green Bay's won it. Pittsburgh's won it.
It actually is a little bit of like a Giants 2007, 2011 formula, but they need Daniil Hunter to pull it off.
They do.
You need the Strahan.
You're right, and the defense is where it is. But I just wanted to point out each one for Declan and one for Mackey, but I really want to say to Judd, you opened my heart about 3 or 4 weeks ago when people have been getting down on you, and I'm telling you I can relate being 52 years old and being a fan since I've been 5 years old. All we want is one. That's all we got. I don't want to hear about playoffs. I don't want to hear about this and that and the whole thing. It is only about a championship in Minneapolis. I was ready to go back. I was in the Minneapolis Miracle. I definitely was staying positive because I've been a pessimistic fan for so long. I am not going to go to Philadelphia with my friend who's an Eagles fan. We're going to win. And I'm coming back to the Super Bowl because this is finally, we got over and we still can't do it. So talk about the heartbreaks, talk about all that stuff. And it's just to the point where Judd hit it call it therapy. You hit it so hard when, again, I know people want to talk. I've been a Vikings fan. I know more than just about it, except for maybe you guys. But I know this team and I know this franchise. And we should have won a few Super Bowls already. For some of these teams that have won championships in all 4 major sports, for us, we still have the Black Cloud, the Cubs no more, the Red Sox no more, the Buccaneers. Everybody talks about the Bills. Bills did it in 4 years. We've been doing it for 40 years. It's so painful. So thank you for the therapy because you were absolutely right. I don't want a playoff. I don't want a 14-2 record. I don't want a 15-1 because we saw what we did in 98. So I want a championship. This team, this city deserves a champion. I'm from Rochester, New York, and that city in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, need a champion, not the Lynx. Okay, it's great. We need one of the 4. Okay, we need that. And I want it to be the Vikings because that's a team that deserved it. And all I'll say after that, because thank you for letting me vent, is we have to say that the defense isn't there like you said. But all I want Zim to do, he can now because, okay, if the playoffs are even on the outskirts, take some chances on defense, please. You don't have the players, but come up with a way. You have a defensive scheme. You're a smart guy. Take some chances, and I won't even yell at you. If you took a chance and you did something wrong, but you at least took a chance for us to try to win a game on the defensive side of things. And then the other thing is Kirk, again, he had a great game. I don't dislike Kirk. He's not a championship-style quarterback, but here's the bottom line. He had a great game. I'd rather him have 150 yards less, even an interception, another less touchdown, but do it on the last drive. He's not doing it, and it's not even that last drive that he couldn't do it. How about the one before? The second drive, there's a lot of drives that they don't do when they're rolling, and then the one that they really need to just put some more minutes on the down on the clock or get another field goal or do something, they just tend to blow it. So I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. You guys are awesome, and I just wanted to say those things. And yes, get into the playoffs. And one last thing, sorry. You guys, one thing, now it's going to be a little on the critical side, but over the past weeks, all I've been hearing about is Jefferson. He's great. I love him. I'm glad he's with us. Yeah, he dropped a pass today, a critical pass, but I can forgive him. He's going to be a net player in the future. But everybody's talking about Diggs and all these other players. I'm sorry, guys. When it's on the line, Adam Thielen. No one's given him credit. Adam Thielen makes catches. He makes plays. I think maybe because he's not as athletic as let's give Thielen. He's our number one receiver. I'm sorry. Right now, I'd rather go to him than Jefferson. That's all I'm saying. Down the road, Jefferson will be the man. He'll be better than Diggs. He'll be great. That was my thing. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
Mike, thanks for bringing the passion, dude. Thanks for discovering the show, and tell your friends in those New York bars too to check us out. Vikings Vent Line, Purple Daily. I think Mike speaks for Mike and Judd speak for a generation of people who have watched this team for 50 years go 9-7, 10-6. Who cares? I don't care about the wild card round and the divisional round.
Right.
What are you doing to win a Super Bowl? And so when people sit on here and like, you guys are too hard on Kirk. Kirk can't get it done in the 2-minute drill. You're going to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that cannot get it done in the 2-minute drill? And so, quite frankly, the more I sit here and think about this, like praising him for the perfect passer rating in the first 3.5 quarters, who cares? I mean, that's a microcosm of Vikings history. Perfect for the first 3.5 quarters until you get to the 98 NFC Championship game, fourth quarter time, until you get to that Saints game in 2009. Everything's perfect until the very end. I don't care about the first 3.5 quarters anymore. I mean, the Twins are the same way, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, the Twins are great in the regular season. Okay, they can't score a run against the Yankees.
Wild. Same thing.
The Vikings problem too is and what's tough about this team in particular is this team is structured and built for its defense to be great, but it's not. So like the offense is actually structured to do what it sort of did today, but it can't be down late, which is a ridiculous thing on my part to say, but it's true. But like they're operating still like they're dealing with a defense that's really, really good. And they were at one time. They're not now. But the problem is this game was lost. I mean, if you look at the ingredients to why today's game was lost, Phil, the ingredients scream of you're structured in a way that you're really not built. Because if your defense was as stout and as good as a lot of Mike's defenses have been previously, this game is a win for sure. So you're really not adjusting and you're trusting your defense to do something that it really can't do. And it's just not built to. Like it's hard to pick on players individually as a whole, because a lot of them are being put in positions that you simply shouldn't be asking them. Kendricks is great, and that pick was fantastic today. It was a great pick. Smith is great. Harris, I think, is solid. But you're also dealing, especially interior defensive line-wise and corner-wise, with a lot of guys who you're counting on to make big plays who simply don't have the capability, at least right now, of making those plays.
Who else we got, Dex? Let's get to another guest here.
For sure. We usually wrap with this guy, but we'll go to Darian right now. Darian, what's up,
Darian?
What's going on? That was a very powerful, passionate from the last Vikings fan. But last time I checked, is the season over? I just really want to know that. I think we still have a decent chance to win the NFC North. Obviously, Green Bay is capable of losing, so I think we still have a chance at that. And then also the fact that isn't it so Vikings to just lose a dumb game like this and then win the games? Now I feel more confident that we're going to beat the Bucks when we come up against the Bucks.
You're right.
These are the type of games that this every year. So, and then the other thing I wanted to address, you did say something about Justin Fields. I don't know if you got the chance to check him out this past weekend.
Yeah.
As far as with adversity, I didn't like how he responded to it when things aren't going the way they're supposed to go. But there's this guy named Michael Penix, that plays for Indiana. I've been watching him all year. I think if anybody deserves a shot, I think we should definitely go for him. And then that'll probably be at the end of Kirk Cousins' contract. We don't have to worry about that. You have to find a way to spend a whole bunch of money just to get rid of Kirk. But that's just my 2 cents as far as with that. But as far as with the defense and everything, I mean, good game until the end. But like I said, I don't believe in just giving up the season just yet, just because, I mean, like I said, we always lose dumb games like this. This is almost like the equivalent of losing to a hopeless Chicago Bears the last game of the season. This is kind of like the same thing for me. So far as like going forward, I think just dial it back just a little bit, just a little bit.
So you're still keeping the faith, Darian. Thanks for jumping on, man. We always appreciate your optimistic viewpoint on the team. A lot of people hammering you in the comment section saying this, Apex Legends Gamer says no chance they win the NFC North. They probably do have to run the table to win the division at this point because they have to hop both the Bears and the Packers. If they win their next 2 home games, they would be 500. And the team to really watch, I think, is Arizona because Arizona plays a couple tough games coming up. Mm-hmm. So is it a complete official death knell that they lost this game? Not if they win their next 2, but then they probably have to beat either Tampa or the Saints and Chicago and Detroit. So there's really no slip-ups the rest of the way. Let's go to the next one here, Dex.
Yeah, let's go to Skull Gang. Skull Gang. We'll wrap up with you here on Vikings Event Line. You got us?
Hey, Skull Gang.
What's up, buddy?
What's up,
Skull
Gang?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. I want to say that it was a good game. I want to stay positive. All you guys need to leave Zimmer alone, or I'm going to find you. Leave Zimmer alone. You got practice squad freaking corners. That D-line ain't doing anything. I don't think we're going to do much this year, but hopefully we can keep our young guys, get them game experience up to speed for next year. And, I got my daughter. She wants to say something on here.
For
I'm
sure.
training her up to be a Vikings fan. Go, woo! But she got shy.
Oh,
But,
Okay.
She's a little bit like the Vikings.
She's been doing it all game, but yeah, she got shy. Raising her up to be a Vikings fan because
There you go.
Because if she loves the Vikings like I do, no man can ever break her heart like the Vikings can. And I'll end on that.
Love it.
Awesome,
That's a good
man.
line.
Skull Gang, thanks for jumping on.
Bye.
That's awesome.
I feel like we've got
Finish
some
strong.
borderline child abuse having them watch Vikings games at such a young age.
Yeah, it really is.
Start them young so they can appreciate the disappointment now, and it'll just become a lifelong thing. Or you know what? Perhaps they will be my age when the Vikings finally end this godforsaken drought. I'll be long dead, and they'll be 50 years old celebrating a Super Bowl championship. How about that?
I feel like every kid needs their 98 NFC Championship game heartbreak to really introduce them to the turmoils of life.
Yeah, you got 98, you got 87, you got 2009, right? So we're on the precipice because 17 was such a blowout that it really couldn't be considered the true heartbreak of heartbreaks. It's got to be more. It's got to be more. The Blair Walsh miss should have occurred in a conference championship game. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, but the only thing, the reason why 2017 is so sneaky is because that loss to the Eagles, it really served 3 purposes. It was number one, it prevented you from playing a home Super Bowl. All right.
Yes.
Number one is it prevented you from winning a Super Bowl. Number 2, it prevented you from playing in a home Super Bowl. And then number 3, it's sort of not negated, but it's sort of it watered down the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yep.
If you pay off the Minneapolis Miracle and win a Super Bowl, it might be the greatest play of all time because it was a gateway into something instead of just a fleeting great play.
Well, the fan base didn't appreciate that play itself was your moment. What you didn't know was that will not come in a Super Bowl or a conference championship game because you got blown out in that game. It came in a divisional playoff game. The appreciation should have been, and it was briefly, this is the type of thing that never happens to Vikings fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So real quick, just for the people hanging out with us here as we wind down Vikings Vent Line, thank you for one. We just really appreciate, I think a lot of people are thanking us for being your therapist, but we obviously wouldn't be doing this if not for having all of you hang out with us. Thing number 2 is we do this, not this interactive, but we do a 7-day-a-week Viking show called Purple Daily if you're new. And you can find that in podcast form on Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com, SKORnorth.com. You can also find us on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this right now, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. Give us a subscription. And then the other 2 things I want to throw at you guys, we have another show called Mackey and Judd, which you can find also on Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com. A lot of Wolves speculation lately on that show. And then our second YouTube channel is youtube.com/scorenorthmn. So, and if you're near an actual traditional radio, you can still find us, Mackey and Judd, from 5 to 6 o'clock on Score North Radio, AM 1500 in the Twin Cities. Those are the places you can find us if you're looking for more Minnesota sports therapy. we are your seasoned veteran therapists here in the Twin Cities. And this is the most interactive show in Minnesota sports. So for a lot of you discovering us for the first time, if you can go tell 5 friends that are Vikings fans that we exist and they can find us in podcast form or on YouTube, it is super helpful to us, and we will keep pumping the content for you guys. So, all right, I'm off my promotional soapbox.
That was very good. Ran through a lot of them there.
Yeah, that was a good job.
Oh, and Corona Hard Seltzer.
And Corona,
don't forget the front. Yeah.
Do you just
exactly
go to
right.
sleep at night, like counting how many times you can say it in your head, and like you're like instead of people counting sheep, you just like youtube.com/scorenorth, youtube.com/purple daily.
Corona Seltzer.
That's
Corona
right.
Seltzer. 1 Corona Seltzer, 2 Corona Seltzers. Declan, 100. I just drank 100 Corona Seltzers tonight.
Ooh, that sounded like a myth.
That was a brick.
Way to go. Nice pass, Declan.
Amazing.
2-minute
All
drill
right.
didn't work out so well for you. They did it.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We'll let Judd get back to work for scorenorth.com. We'll let Declan get back to his Corona Hard Seltzers, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us.